a skeletal ghost that isn't strong, but can mean trouble in large numbers. Today, we are talking about Skull Servant, and I'm doing this video for two reasons. First of all, and probably the most obvious one, is that this was actually a Patreon requested video. If you guys don't know, and I hate shouting this out, but if you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon account. I have several donors that support the channel, and what you guys get out of this is videos like the meme videos I make with SpongeBob, and also live streams once a week. This particular video was one of the ones requested from a $10 supporter, which lets you get any deck that you want in a video. Now, the good news is that the second reason I'm doing this is because I was pretty much already going to talk about this, because every time I posted a Skull Servant deck profile, someone's asked, I don't know what any of these cards do. And that makes sense because a lot of them are just doing the same thing, and I kind of gloss over them in the deck profiles because I just assume you guys know what they do. So today I wanted to go through all of the Skull Servants and then talk about some cards that you add for synergy in the deck. And then lastly, I'm going to close it out by talking about how I feel Skull Servants are in the meta and also how they're going to be once Link Summoning hits the game. So the first thing you have to know is that we have the classic Skull Servant here. 300 attack, 200 defense, 1-star zombie monster. It doesn't have any effect, but as it would suggest, it's a ghost that isn't strong, but can mean trouble in large numbers. Now, what does that mean? Well, when we go to King of the Skull Servants, which has pretty much the same stats as the regular Skull Servant, except that it doesn't have any attack points, it's a question mark, things start to make sense. So, King's effect is, the original attack of this card is the combined number of King of the Skull Servants and Skull Servant in your graveyard times 1,000. So that's actually a huge amount. If you summon this with just a couple Skull Servants in your grave, you can easily get to 3, 4, 5, even 6,000. And this is the main beater of the deck. Also, it has a built-in protection effect. When it's stirred by battle, you can banish the Skull Servant and special summon it from the graveyard. Now, I really wish that was also when it was destroyed by card effects, but I guess we can't have everything. But King of the Skull Servants is the main attacker of the deck. Most of the fancy OTKs you see with Skull Servants are done using King of the Skull Servants because it really is easy to get up to that much attack points. And the main reason that it's easy is if we take a look at White Prince. Now, this was actually released quite late in the Skull Servant series or archetype, but it's by far the most important one for the whole strategy. Its effect reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send one Skull Servant and one the Lady in White from your hand or deck to the graveyard. So the important part here, and I'll throw Lady in the White on the screen as well, although her effect isn't that important. It's basically just, and you'll kind of see here, all of these Skull Servants cards, their last line of text is that they're treated as Skull Servant in the graveyard. So what White Prince does is it puts not only itself, which is treated as a Skull Servant, but also another Skull Servant and a Lady in the White into the graveyard, putting 3 Skull Servants in the grave, so King of the Skull Servants is instantly at 3,000 attack points. Now, the other cool part is that when White Prince is in the graveyard, you can banish it and 2 Skull Servants from the grave to special summon a king from your deck. So basically this means if you don't have a king, you can get it instantly by having a White Prince in the grave, and if you do have a king, it increases its attack by 3,000 points. Now, taking a look at the Lady in the White, or the Lady in White, I should say, this card is sort of the odd man out. It doesn't really have a proactive effect. Its effect is just defensive, so it's face level 3 or lower Zion monsters on the field, except itself cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by spell and trap effects. That's like sort of relevant, but once again, it's kind of weird to give them a battle protection effect because King of the Skull Servants can already revive itself if it's destroyed by battle. I would have much rather seen this thing just give it like a blanket destruction prevention effect. But mostly you're just using White Prince to get sent to the graveyard anyways. It's not super important that it has a reliable or relevant effect. Now, the next card that we want to talk about is actually White Princess, and this is level 3 zombie monster that's light, while the other ones have all been dark, with 1,600 attack points, so the most base attack points of any Skull Servant card, and like all the rest of them, its name is Skull Servant in the graveyard, and then when it's normal or special summoned, you can summon White Prince from your deck to the graveyard, and that's not once per turn, and then during either player's turn, you send this card from your hand to the graveyard. All monsters on the field lose attack and defense equal to their own level/rank by 300 until the end of the turn. So this is really good because it's an instant White Prince effect, because you can normal summon this, send the White Prince to the grave, and then send the 1 Skull Servant and the 1 Lady in White. It's also good because the discarding effect, you're not only not really affecting your Skull Servants because they'll only lose 300 attack, you can reduce some stuff by quite a bit because like rank 4s and stuff are all going to lose 1200 attack points. Not only that, though, the king is then gaining 1000 attack points because you're discarding White Princess, which is a Skull Servant in the grave. This was the most recent addition to Skull Servants, and it's really crucial because it mimics another card that we'll be playing. Now, if we go on to the last Skull Servant, it's actually White Mare. Once again, while it's in the grave, it's treated as a Skull Servant, but the more important thing is that you can discard it to activate one of the following effects, and they're both really good. So the first one is you can select or remove from play Skull Servant or White Mare and return it to the graveyard. That one's not the most relevant, but it is nice for resetting stuff that you banished with your White Prince. But the more important part is that you can use a second effect, which is select one of your remove from play, the Lady in White or King of the Skull Servants, special summon it. Now, this is great. White Prince instantly banishes the Lady of White if you send it to the graveyard to bring out a king, and then you can use White Mare to special summon the Lady in White, and now you have a level 3 on board, which pairs really nicely with the next card that we're going to talk about, Unizombie. Now, Unizombie is one of the most versatile tuners in the entire game. It might even be the most versatile tuner in the entire game that's legal right now. If you don't know what it does, basically, it has 2 level modifying effects. One requires you to mill a zombie from deck to the graveyard. One requires you to discard a card from your hand, and that increases any monster in the field by like 1 level for each of those effects. So what you can do with this is you can normal summon Unizombie, use this effect to send White Prince to the graveyard, and White Prince then sends Skull Servant and Lady in White. And then if you have a White Mare in hand, you can banish both of those cards in your grave to special summon a king from your deck, and then discard the White Mare to special summon the Lady back. And now you have a Unizombie that's level 4, a King of the Skull Servants, and a White Mare. A Lady in White, and that's level 8, so you can make an Omega. You could also discard, what I suggest is you use Unizombie to discard a card, making it level 5, so you can synchro with the Lady in White and the Unizombie for Omega, so that leaves you with a King of the Skull Servants that has, I believe, at that point, you have 2,000 attack points, then you also have an Omega, and during your opponent's standby phase, you can use Side-Frame Lord Omega to put back one of the banished Skull Servants, most likely White Prince, to then give your King of the Skull Servants 1,000 more attack points. That's sort of the standard opening. Now, the other really important card here is Mizuki, and if you play zombies, you're playing Mizuki. It's like the go-to revival card. It's a non-once return effect that lets you banish it in the graveyard to special summon a zombie in your graveyard, and like I said, so it's not once return, which means if you have multiples, you can do it, but it's really cool because if you open hands like Unizombie and then either Prince or Mizuki, you can then mill whichever one you didn't draw straight to the graveyard, and then you can discard the one in your hand. Alternatively, you can use Mizuki to bring back itself as a level 4 monster, which you can use for synchro plays or exceed plays. But one of the cooler things with these sort of off-theme monsters, Unizombie and Mizuki, is that if you open Prince with Unizombie, you can use Unizombie to send the Prince from your hand, getting 2 Skull Servants out of your deck, and then use Unizombie to send Prince from your deck, and then get 2 more Skull Servants out of your deck. That's 6 Skull Servants in the grave for free, basically, and you can use that. From there, you can summon a king from your deck by using one of the White Princes, which will be at 3,000 attack when the king is special summoned, or you can, if you have a king already, you can then just summon it and it'll have 6,000 attack, which is pretty incredible when you also pair it with the 1,300 attack from Unizombie. That's almost game with just 2 cards there. Some cards that I would consider playing this deck, I've mentioned a couple times. Side-Frame Lord Omega is very important for recycling your banished Skull Servants and Mizukis. Another card I'm a really big fan of is DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation. This not only loads the grave with Skull Servants, it also special summons the ones that you banish with Prince. And then as far as this deck's position in the meta, I think it's kind of in a rough spot. I guess with Link Summoning, it's good that you have Omega because that kind of dodges the Link Summoning restriction, but this deck has to play a lot of brick cards. You obviously don't want to draw the regular Skull Servant, but you really don't want to draw the Lady in White either, and multiple White Mares can get kind of awkward to have in your opening hand. And with that grass looks screener being limited, you can't play the 60 card version of this deck anymore. One route that I see a lot of people going is actually Shaddoll's, because you can send White Prince and then a Shaddol like Beast to the grave to summon Winda, and then you get the Beast draw and the Prince effect. That's pretty good, and it's also really hard for Zodiacs to out a Shaddol Winda. They usually have to crash with a Whiptail. So I don't know if this deck's going to be super competitive going forward, but it's one of my favorite decks. You know, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I like zombies a lot. And while the Elder Entity Norden hit really affected this deck negatively because Norden plus Unizombie was double Omega, Instant Fusion plus Unizombie was double Omega. While that is sort of like an issue, I think that Sea Monster of Theseus is still a really good option if you so choose to play that. And yeah, I think as a casual deck going in a Link format, this deck's okay. It's a lot of fun to play, and you have some really interesting wins by using King of the Skull Servants with like 1 billion attack points. But overall, if you're trying to play competitively, I probably wouldn't play Skull Servants, but they're still one of my favorite decks of all time, and I encourage you to try them out if you are looking to play something that's fun and semi-competitive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do more explanations for cards or decks, please let me know in the comments. I might start this as like a new mini-series, not quite sure. Also, please check out my Patreon page. It is really important because if you guys just donate $1, that's actually more money than every single view that you could give me in 1 month would be. If you watch all of my daily uploads, so let's say 30 videos in a month, and watch all the ads in them, I'll actually make less than $1 off of that. So if you donate $1, it's more than I would get off YouTube ad revenue from you, and that's really cool. You can also check out some of the other rewards, but that's not completely necessary. But thank you for the person who donated to get Skull Servants on the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.